We're going to start with a little video which was made by the Elinor Ostrom Award team, which just summarises the work of my organisation, the Open Spaces Society.
Commons are all those goods created and owned collectively. Commons are our reality today. The right to enjoy the commons has been safeguarded and promoted by the Open Spaces Society during the last century and a half throughout England and Wales. The Society's achievements range from preservation and creation of public paths to registration and protection of common land, village greens, and open spaces through policy-changing campaigns. Today, the Open Spaces Society is dedicated to the protection of open spaces and their enjoyment by the public. By creating and protecting commons, we make our future possible.
You can see technology is not my strong point. Well, the Open Spaces Society were really, really delighted to win the Elinor Ostrom Award for Practitioners, one of the first winners last year. And I was particularly delighted because I feel that Lynn Ostrom really believed in the work of practitioners as informing the work of academics and the way that we can, in fact, support each other. And this year's Elinor Ostrom Award is still open for nominations. It's a very simple process, and you can nominate up until the end of September. So we are hoping to have lots of nominations, and I'm very proud to be one of the judges this year. So I really hope that we have a lot to choose from. Sorry, I don't know how to move on. Is it this one?
Yeah.
One of these? No.
Arrow to the right.
So I work for the Open Spaces Society. I work for the Open Spaces Society, which was founded as the Commons Preservation Society, 1865, Britain's oldest national conservation body. So we're going back to the mid-Victorian period, kind of the end of what we call our enclosure movement, and at a time when the threats to the commons were turning from agricultural intensification to development, and also at that time the public were wanting open spaces for their enjoyment. Quick definition of commons, fairly superficial, but in England and Wales our commons all have an owner. It might be the government, the state, it might be a local authority, or it might be a private owner. And other people have rights there to graze animals, collect wood, dig peat for fuel. But the idea of the exercising of the rights is for their personal use. And in days gone by, commons were absolutely fundamental to people's survival, being able to exercise those rights. And still today, to some extent, in our uplands. And we're very fortunate we still have many commons, and they cover a wide variety of landscapes. They're rich in archaeology, ancient remains, they have their cultures, and they are also rich in biodiversity. And the public has the right to walk on all of them and to ride horses on many of them. Here's a common in Wales, which is close to an urban population and provides a vital lung for the population to enjoy the land. Here's a common with an ancient tumulus, ancient remain on it, but they are hugely varied, and we are just so lucky to have them. And my society has a very proud history of campaigning for the Commons by a number of means. And the video actually reflected an event which occurred in 1866, a year after we were formed, when Lord Brownlow, a very rich man, put up iron railings around a common near London called Berkhamsted Common, and one of the people in my organisation organised a trainload of very tough men to go out at dead of night by train to this common and fell the fencing. So they just got rid of it with their crowbars and their implements, laid it all in neat heaps, and the fencing was never put back. And the photograph is actually of somebody explaining the story on the site. A beautiful wooded common today that actually belongs to the National Trust. So we have fought for commons by direct action and by lobbying governments, lobbying landowners, and also, thirdly, by writing the laws ourselves. Because if you have the text of the legislation that you want, and then you get the right administration who are prepared to legislate on that, you are then in a very good position to be able to promote your bit of legislation. So we are great promoters of campaigning in order to achieve change. And campaigning isn't a word to be afraid of. It isn't necessarily militant. It isn't necessarily left-wing. It is purely organised action to achieve change which is beneficial to the public, beneficial to the common right holders. And we believe that that is the way to get things done. I mean, it may be that you're wanting to save your common from the threat of development. It might be mining, for instance. We've talked about that today in the workshop, the threat of minerals, forestry. And you may be wanting to promote just good management, to get the governance right. Sorry, I'm having a terrible time with this. We'll go back forward. You might want to be promoting the good management and getting the governance right. All these are campaigns. And so in order to do that, and I'm not going to go into any detail, but you do have to be organised, you do have to have a campaign plan, you need to decide what it is you want to achieve, who will take the decisions, how you will achieve your aim, what the timetable is, what information you need. So you start out by working that out. And a good campaign, you start with your aim, then you do your research in order to back up your aim, you do your communication telling people what it is you want to achieve, and you do the lobbying in order to get them to change their mind and take that decision. So you start with your campaign aim and you work out who is the decision maker. And it might be the government, it might be the local authority, it might be a landowner or a group. And here's the important bit. This is what I want to emphasise in this talk, because this is where practitioners and academics come together. A good campaign cannot function without good evidence. And we need, as campaigners and practitioners, we need you and the work that you do to inform our campaigns. You provide that research, we can then use it to bring about change. So that is why I'm really very pleased that IASC, our Commons one, not the Arctic one, is embracing practitioners. And the Eleanor Ostrom Award is recognising, the importance of practitioners working with academics. We are symbiotic, we depend on each other, and absolutely essential that we work together. And I've used academic research to promote a case. For instance, I'm always going on about the importance of people being able to get outside and enjoy walking on what we have, which are public rights of way, which are maintained by our local authorities who are running out of money. Well, if we can promote the economic benefits of walking and persuade the local authorities that it actually pays them to put money into paths, that's really good. I don't have that information. I would look to a research institute to tell me, to give me the facts and figures that walking is good for the economy, walking is good for health. And then I can use that information to lobby the decision makers who decide the budget for rights of way. So that's just one example of working with academics from my point of view. And the sort of report that one might produce is just the sort of reports that you do all the time, with the summary, the main points, because that's actually all that the decision maker will ever get round to reading is the first page. But then behind that are all the facts and figures and references that back it up, so that they know that it is authoritative. And a bit like getting ready for the conference, you just produce that sort of report, and it really makes a difference. Absolutely brilliant. And then we can use that for lobbying in all the ways that you'll be familiar with, to get results, to change people's minds, to influence them in the press and the social media. And it's absolutely kind of fundamental that you have good research in order to be able to do that. And that's then you get to the lobbying and to trying to persuade somebody to change their mind. So, quote from Edmund Burke, is why it's necessary to campaign. Because if we don't do something, then bad things will happen. And Nelson Mandela, who gives us that dream of being able to change the world through the campaigning that we do. For me, campaigning, collective action is absolutely essential. And really, we can achieve anything when we work together. Collective action. So it's collective action of practitioners and academics, and collective action of people who all have the same belief. So that's how you can find me. And I'll be here for the conference. And I'd really love to talk to anybody who's got issues that they want help with, want to tell me about, because I really do want to learn about other people's issues to inform me in my campaigning. And with John Powell and Letitia and others, we are developing an online course on campaigning for commons. So, it's all really good and helpful stuff. And I end up just with a picture of a common, which I'm lucky enough to own, down in Devon in the southwest. It's disappeared. There it is. Lovely bit of wildland, which I manage for wildlife and butterflies and for public enjoyment. For me, commons are absolutely wonderful, and I just love campaigning for them, and I love being a part of IASC, and I'm very proud to be an Eleanor Ostrom Award winner. And please do get in your nominations. Thank you very much.